Welcome back to the Gothic Chef. Today we're going to make homemade bread, the best bread. How could I possibly make that claim? Well, I don't know, just because I want to. But as you will see, it is going to be high as an elephant's eye and the most moist bread you will ever eat. Stay tuned.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to proof the yeast. And I believe that you should do this because if you can't take a chance that your yeast is not going to be good, because then you're going to waste all these ingredients, okay? So we're going to proof the yeast first, and you have to be careful with the yeast. The water can't be too cold or too hot. Okay, so what we have here is 2 cups of water that's about 110 degrees. So I'm going to show you. It's between 105 and 110. You're good. So I'm going to show you. See, it's about 107.6 degrees. That's perfect. You want it between 105 and 110. So the first thing you want to do is take some of your sugar, not all of it, and you want to pour some of it in there. And the reason why you want to put real sugar, it has to be real sugar, this is a half a cup, is because you want, the sugar has to feed the yeast, okay? So you want to dissolve that a little bit. Okay, so a little bit of sugar, maybe about a tablespoon in 2 cups of water should be okay. So then we have about 12 grams of yeast. It's about a tablespoon and a half. I would say it's about a packet and a half. And then I'm going to stir that in. Okay. Oops. Splashing yeast all over the place. Okay, so you want to mix that up nice. Now we're going to wait, tap, tap, tap. We're going to wait until the yeast proofs, till it proves its worth. It proves that it's alive and well and going to serve us. Okay, so enough of that. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. Well, your time, 2 seconds. So I'll be back. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to mix most of the dry ingredients together before we add the wet ingredients. So I have 5 cups of bread flour here. Yes, bread flour. Don't use all-purpose. They say you can. I don't like all-purpose for bread. You know why? Because bread flour is to make bread. So use bread flour. So I have 5 cups of bread flour. I have the remaining half cup of the sugar here. I have 1.5 teaspoons or 4 grams of kosher salt. And then the star of the show is 1 cup of vital wheat gluten. I will put a description of vital wheat gluten in the area below the video. This has a higher amount of protein in it. It's made from the outer part of the wheat, and the more protein makes the bread rise higher. So you're going to see that this bread is going to pretty much explode out of your oven. I'll show you what I'm talking about, and I wish I could do a time lapse, but I don't know how to do those. So this is very important to this bread. This is what's going to make my bread a little different from everybody else's, and I'll show you why. And then we're going to add in a 1/4 cup of olive oil. You can use vegetable oil, but I like olive oil. Okay, so we're going to put some of the flour in. I have my KitchenAid with the dough hook. If you don't have one, you can do this by hand. But I'm going to put about half of the flour in. I'm going to add the rest of the sugar. And I'm going to put a whole cup of the wheat gluten in. And then we're going to get that mixing. You can add the salt. It won't bother the yeast, which is now exploding onto my table, by the way. So we're going to put the oil in. And the yeast, which is now exploding onto my table. As you can see, it's like definitely alive, that's for sure. We're going to put the whole thing in and try to get all of this stuff that's around it. Oh, it smells great. I love the smell of yeast. It's fantastic. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, and now we're going to get that going. Okay, and you want to scrape down your bowl. Make sure it's thoroughly mixed. Tap, tap, tap. Add a little flour at a time. Don't add all 5 cups because you might not need all 5 cups. Yes, I like to live dangerously. Whoops. Okay. It's starting to come together. At first you're going to think the dough hook's not going to make the dough come together, but it really truly does. Because what will happen is it'll start forming this massive ball in the middle, and it'll start taking the flour from the sides. It does need a little assistance, but you see how it's starting to grab the flour from the side of the bowl? It will continue to do that. Now my KitchenAid mixer is very old. It's at least 20 years old. So the little latch on the side doesn't work, so you're going to see it bouncing up and down when the dough gets really tough. So don't be nervous. It's okay. What we're looking for is a nice soft consistency. We don't want it to be sticky, but we don't want it to be too dry. Okay, this is definitely too sticky. See, on my finger, too sticky. So we're going to add some more flour. Hold it down so it doesn't bounce the camera around. And we're going to knead this for about 7 minutes. I don't like 10 minutes. I think that's too long. Because we've already pretty much been kneading it a little bit while we're mixing it. So 7 minutes is perfect, I found, for myself. You might think it's not good. You might think it needs a little more. Bread is not an exact science. You might have to tweak it. me touch it. Ooh, it feels good. Okay. We're going to let it go for about 7 minutes. I'm going to shut the camera off because it's going to be bouncing all over the place. But this is what you want. You want to touch it and not have any sticky on your finger. But you also want it to be nice and moist. So that's what we're going to do. You see how it's kind of moving around in there? I don't know if you can see it. It's moving. It's rising in the bowl. It's phenomenal. All right, I'm going to shut the camera off, and we're going to let it do its thing for 7 minutes. Be back. Okay. Done. Whew. Okay, so we're going to take it out. Look at this. This is already rising. Okay. I'm going to get it off our dough hook. If I can get it off my KitchenAid mixer. Okay. All right, put this aside. And there you go. See it snapping back? That's what you want. Nice snapping back. Okay, so, oh, feels great. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to get a big bowl. You need a big bowl. This is a gallon. What is it? Let's see here. This is a 10-cup stainless steel bowl. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some olive oil in the bottom. A little bit, about a tablespoon. And I'm going to take a pastry brush and all the sides. Make sure you do all the sides. This is going to come right up to the top. It's going to burst out of this bowl. I promise you. Okay, so I'm going to take our fabulous dough, put it into a little ball like this, slap it around a little, and dump it in there. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little bit top, just a wee bit, maybe a little bit more. Don't want it to stick. Don't want it to stick to the bowl. Okay. All right. And then I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay. And then we're going to put a hat on it, like that. These are just those plastic bowl cover things. And then I'm going to put this in my oven with the light on, okay? Not the oven on, just in the oven with the light on for 1 hour. And in an hour, we'll come back and I'll show you what's going to happen then. I'll be back. Okay, we have risen dough. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? That's real pretty. Now, what's the best part? Yeah, okay. Anyway, so we're going to degas. Boink, 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 boink. And this is beautiful. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Okay. And I'm going to weigh it. And we'll see how much it weighs. It weighs, I don't know if you can see that down there. It weighs, wow, 3 pounds, 2 ounces. Okay, so what we're going to do, and that's good, that's 1.5 pounds is about where 1 loaf of bread is. So what we're going to do is take this out. You don't even need flour because it's got lots of oil on it. You don't need flour. I'm going to smush it together. And look at this. This is fighting me back. It's fighting me back. It does not want to be rolled. It's being bad. So we're going to cut it in half and see if we can get a 1.5 pound loaf. That's need a little more. Okay, a little less. Yes, I'm being fussy. A little less than that. All right, maybe this one will do it. No. right. Okay. So we're going to make this into a loaf of bread. This one I'm going to save for pizza dough. I'm going to try and see how it makes a pizza dough. So what you want to do is you want to kind of form this. This is fighting me. It's fighting me. That's the vital wheat gluten. It wants to just blow up into tiny pieces. Okay, so you try to form this into a nice loaf. It's just bursting with gas and air and beauty. Okay, and then I have a 9x5 loaf pan, and we're going to smush that in there nicely. And then I'm going to let this rise for about a half an hour, and then we will bake it, and I will show you how beautiful it is. So we're going to let it rise for about a half hour. You want it to be just over the top, not up here, because then it'll go just over the top of the rim. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done rising for the second time. Again, only a half an hour it should take, and then we'll bake it. Okay, see you in a little bit. Okay, we are ready, and there we go. It's all risen and ready for the oven. So we're going to put it in the oven for about 30 to 40 minutes on 350 for a non-fan assisted oven and 325 for a fan assisted oven, because when you put it at 325, it's kind of like 350 when it's a convection or a fan assisted oven. So we're going to put this in there, and I will show you what it looks like when it is done and cool, because we have to cool it for about 15 minutes before we cut it. So I'll show you what it looks like when it first comes out of the oven, and then I'll show you what it looks like when we cut it. Okay, be back. Ta-da! Okay, there she is. Sounds done. How do we know for sure? Take it out of the pan carefully. You hear that? That means it's done. Okay, so we're going to cool it for about 15 minutes, and then we'll cut it, put some delicious Kerrygold butter on it, and take a taste. I'll be back. Okay, I managed to cut a slice without smushing it, so it smells divine. If you could only smell this. So I'm going to slop some butter on it. Softened butter, of course. With my silicone butter spreader, cake slash thingy. I know that's a lot of butter. I know I should be eating that much butter. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Folding it in half. So good. Chewy, but light. Tasty, sweet. I highly recommend you try this. Pardon me, I'm going to go enjoy this. See you later.
I wanted to show you the bread in comparison to my hand. It's quite the impressive loaf. I really think you should try it. It's so delicious. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching as always. Please subscribe to my channel. Please share it with your friends. Look for the recipe on my gothicchef.com website. The link is in the description below. Give this bread a try. I'm telling you, you will love it. You could use it for sandwiches and anything else. And I'll see you next time on the Gothic Chef.